free lab session. We'll call this the slab session on YouTube because it's free. I want to thank all you for listening in. It is the notorious gorilla and the mysterious cowboy. He shoots from the hip. He gives no lip, and he's the one. He's got a swivel on his hip. There you go.
And I might just give you a tip.
I might give you a tip on trading so you know what you're doing. Anyway, guys, this is your chance to to watch and see what we do, and for you guys to join. If you're watching us, you're sitting on the sidelines, you're wondering whether you should do it or not. Do it. Do it. Join algofactory.tech. Let us show you how to create an additional income stream in your life. Who wouldn't like that? Who wouldn't like that? Learn how to capture free money, honey. And with that being said, Cowboy, what's going on, buddy?
Oh man, just yesterday was a great day. Everybody got to see some pretty good trades happen on our private group. So I went ahead and I kind of chopped up and I did my basic video editing. I'm not a video editing master, but I threw it up on YouTube and TikTok so people could see how it went when we took that trade. So that was really cool. Had a nice long on the Aussie AUD USD pair, and everybody got to see what my my logic was on that trade, what the process was, the thinking. Of course, I don't really share what I do with my algorithm per se. That's something I keep pretty quiet. Although the linchpin to the algorithm has been made public to our private members. So that's one thing that the private members do get, is they get to know the linchpin, the key aspect of the algorithm. Now, it doesn't work without everything else in it, but it gives people a good starting point to where they can build their own algo and go about it that way. So that said, the news this week, there's a lot. This is our big economic data week. We had FOMC, we had inflation, we had the unemployment reports. Today we actually have, let's see. Let's roll over to the economic calendar. And as I'm bringing this up, I'll just do it, do all the share screen and all the stuff. Just a reminder that anything we say on this video or anything that we say ever is none of it's intended to be investment advice. It's all education and entertainment purposes only. So make sure that you consult your licensed investment advisor before risking your capital on the market, because you can lose money doing that. Okay, so we have here, today is Friday the 16th, and at 8 a.m., that's 10 a.m. EST, by the way, 8 a.m. Mountain, the prelim University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report comes out. So University of Michigan comes out once a month with a consumer sentiment report, which basically is what it sounds like. They look at all the data. I imagine they do surveys, and because sentiment is going to be like based on how do consumers feel. So I imagine it's a survey plus the data, and however that comes out will have some level of effect on the market. But I think that the violent nature with which the market reacted to FOMC and unemployment, CPI, all that, I think that the market is kind of spent, if you will. A lot of the traders have blown their load. I know overnight it was super quiet. A lot of the trading pairs weren't doing much overnight, so and that was to be expected. You in trading, you're going to have inside days and you're going to have outside days. And what that means is that you're going to have days where there's a lot of volatility, and then you're going to have days where there just isn't. And that's why this market moves in waves, if you will. And so we as traders, we're kind of good at pattern recognition, right? That's literally what we do. And so you have this hard move up here. Let me zoom in on the screen to make this easy for people to see. Give me 1 second. Zoomity zoom zoom. So. Did you ever hear that the Mazda Miata is like the most modified and raced vehicle there is in its class?
Yeah, for the longest time.
Yeah, I thought it would have been like the Civic or something, but the Miata.
No, the Miata, because it's 50-50 weight distribution, and it's rear-wheel drive. It's a freaking phenomenal fun car. It's a type of car that somebody should drive. Like, you should drive a Miata. It's like one of those cars you should own. like
I
at
used to make
least
fun
once
of
in your
them.
life.
They said
Yeah,
because
but
this little, like, it looks like a clown shoe. Like,
yeah,
you know, well, actually, the BMW Z3 looks like a clown shoe,
yeah,
but
the coupe version of that. Yeah,
the coupe, yeah. But but yeah, I always used to make fun of it. Oh, Miata, you're like a dork. But no, I met this real cool couple at a meeting once, and they just raced those. But yeah, so anyway, zoom zoom, right? So that's Mazda zoom zoom. So the market moves in waves, right? So you have this move right here, that big old crazy wick you see, that was the FOMC. But for the most part, the market is going to move. Yeah, compress this a little bit. This is a nice, beautiful uptrend on the AUD USD. Okay, so you have a harder move up. That's an impulse. You have a retracement, and that makes a low. What is this? A higher low, and then you get a harder move up. That's an impulse. That's a higher high. Retracement, another higher low, another higher high, another higher low. So you see these harder moves. Those are called impulses, and the impulses happen in the direction of the trend. Now, this bit here on this next retracement is an anomaly because of the news, the FOMC. So price more or less resumed its what do you call it? Its trend after that news, which is why we were able to actually take the trade that we took yesterday, which was this bad boy. And you know, I went ahead and took profit right about here, so I didn't ride it all the way up. I actually saw resistance and got out. Had a beautiful 3-to-1 trade. You can just go take a look at the clips on like YouTube or TikTok if you want to see all that. But now we're in a retracement at this point, and because the last few days move was as strong as it was, then this retracement is taking a little bit longer because, as you can see, you have, you know, whoa, something got skewed. I don't know how that happened. Wow, okay, something got messed up on these on this drawing. That was very odd. But you just have hard moves and then, you know, not so hard moves. So you have a day where price, or a day or two where price really, really rockets up, say like Wednesday from noon, the 23rd, up until say 10 p.m. So half the day on Wednesday. And then you have overnight, I'm sorry, through the evening it got tired, and then overnight it went up, and it's like half a day inside, half a day hard moves. So we're in the inside. And that's just what you do. You take a look at the trend. You look for the pullbacks, and then, well, this is what I do. And then you actually go ahead and trade along with the trend. That makes me a trend trader. That's what I do. I find for my own style, that's best. There are those who actually will trade the pullbacks. And so they trade against the trend. They look for a sign that price is going to reverse. And they have some real specific ways to determine that price is going to kind of get tired and go back. And they take little bites along the way of the trend. And you can do that as well. I don't recommend doing both. So, you know, that's my own experience, is that trying to trade the trend and then trying to trade against the trend, those two things at the same time psychologically don't work for me. So I trade the trend. The trend is my friend. So at this point, though, since yesterday, because of there were a lot of breakouts from like multi-month consolidations, so this is why the move is so strong, which might also be why the consolidation is taking as long as it is, rather than like, you know, 12 hours or something, or even 5 hours waiting for price to resume the trend. Now it's taking more like let me see here, from almost 18 hours so far. Might continue. But eventually what's probably going to happen is, if you look, and this is the AUD USD, but a lot of USD pairs are following this, is that price is probably going to try to break above its recent high, because it already has. It's already tried. It was unsuccessful. So this was the high. This is where price rejected. And when it did that, it went down. It tried to break above again last night, and it failed. And now it seems to be kind of failing. So until price breaks above this 689 area, I probably won't be interested in taking longs. And price could do a lot in between. It could just kind of go like this and then go up like that. You know, it could just go up. I mean, it's you know, my algorithm actually is kind of indicating for the moment that price will do just what I drew. Like, it'll flounder kind of right below. It'll basically be like a bull flag. So when price breaks above actually this top of that right there, that's what I'm really looking at. But even if it breaks above this, you know, lower bit right here. The way I'll probably play this is wherever it breaks above, wherever that might be, I'll look for like a pullback, and then I'll enter that. I may enter a smaller position as price touches that, depending on what the algorithm looks like. Depending on what my algo tells me on the indicators, I may enter at market right there, like I did with the AUD trade live yesterday for our private members to see. And then I actually clipped that and put it on the YouTube channel, so you can see what I did. Just go to YouTube or even TikTok, and you'll see the clips on there. All right, so that's just a kind of a review of yesterday's trade. And even though this is only the AUD USD, it is pretty reflective of a lot of USD Forex pairs. Okay. So again, this is a beginner class. And so I'm just talking about price action. I'm not getting too deep. I wanted to identify what the trend looked like. We have a lot of free material on here. So, if you show up every day at 8:30 EST, we go for about 30 minutes. Usually what we'd prefer to do is to get a question from the audience, but our audience is pretty new right now, so they may not have questions or, quite yet. But if you do have questions, our private members are given priority on those. So we will answer those questions first. But if the YouTube audience does have a question and our private members don't, then we'll be happy to answer that for you. So that's the format for the show. Now, if you want to know more about what we do, you can actually go over to our website, and you can just go ahead and use this QR code right here that I put on the screen. That's Algo Factory. It's actually, I'll read it out to you, www.algofactory.tech. Okay, so now for the quick commercial. Right now we're doing this at $49.99 a month, and we have an entire university of classes, if you will. It's about, I don't know, half 100 videos or so, and it would take months and months to get through those if you were going to do that properly. Some people are actually, thinking they'll take longer, but either way, we're here to help you. We also have a Telegram room where people are asking us questions, asking each other questions. I'm putting my trades in there, stuff like that. So we are definitely, we're definitely busy over there. That's for sure. So, and that's our format. That's what we do. And you'll see me in there at like midnight, in there doing trades. That's, I'm pretty crazy like that. Yes. So I'll be working all the time. V, what are you seeing like for the rest of the, I know it's Friday, so there's not much going on in the markets for the rest of the week, but do you have anything that you think is going to happen like kind of over the next week or so? Like anything we can expect for the next week that's on your radar?
For the next week or so, man, I think it's going to be pretty quiet. Today, and I think at least until, I think it's going to be a pretty mundane week, honestly.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all that action that we just had, that's like,
it kind of sets it up for this week.
It does. There will be opportunities though. So basically, I think that we'll be able to find at least a few trades. At least I will in my algorithm. Whatever I put up in the Telegram is actually not. You got to do your own research when you're going to do trades, right? You got to make your own decision on trades. So you don't want to just copy someone else's trade, because what's going to happen is you need to psychologically understand how your trading algorithm works. And no one's going to understand how my algorithm works psychologically. They haven't, they haven't done any testing. They haven't gone back. They haven't done the science of it. What I do is my algorithms are built over hundreds of hours of testing. I go back and I manually test. You don't have to manually test, okay? But I do. And that tells me a few things. It gives me statistics. I know that I will have a certain amount of success. You know what I mean? I'll have like, I don't know, depending on the algorithm, say a 70% hit rate, and I'll have a risk to reward ratio of, maybe 2 to 1, 1.5 to 1, 3.5 to 1, depends on which algorithm it is. And I know that every time I click the button, let's just pretend that I was going to put $1,000 on each trade, then I know how much I'm going to get on average per trade. That's called expectancy. So because I've done all this testing, I've gone back, I have my expectancy number. I know that if you factor in the winners, you factor in the losers, all that stuff, I know that over a period of time, that's what I will get is, say, $1,600 per trade of gains, right? So, okay, I got minus 1,000 this time. Next time I might get plus 2,200. But every time I click that button, it's an average of 1,600. Now, if you haven't done that and you don't know how much you're supposed to win and you don't have that confidence that's been built up by understanding to a statistical degree of probability how much your algorithm is going to pay you, then you could get the perfect algorithm from somebody else and you can try to trade that, and chances are you're going to mess that up because you don't have the psychological strength. You don't have the knowledge that's going to allow you to stay in that trade when it starts to go sideways. Okay, so, and that's a huge aspect of trading psychology. So I could give you, like I said, I could give you all of my algorithm. Hey, here's how I do it. Here's how it works. And most people will probably screw that up. So that's
it's geared to your personality and your unique style. So it's as unique as your fingerprint, and that's what people need to get.
Yeah, it's a trip, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It sounds crazy. Like, I could just copy and paste. No, you can't. You can't.
Yeah, very few people can.
Yep.
It's nothing is impossible, but I will say, like, it's dangerous. I'll put it to you that way. It's dangerous to try to play it that way. So anyway, listen, I'm just bringing a new person into the group while we're talking, so forgive me if I sound a little bit distracted.
I see you put my boy into the group.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, that's my buddy Tim.
Okay, cool.
What's up, Tim?
I don't know if he's like listening to the show,
okay.
But we have that automated system that was built for us, and so I needed to complete that. So yeah, it's trading is something where you really got to put in the work. This is not a get rich quick thing. And if we haven't scared you off yet, talking about all this work,
like,
and
damn it, it's not get rich quick. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to find the real get rich quick. Like there is no
sit on my couch, do nothing, and make money.
Heck yeah! I mean, it's not like your name is Zelensky. So all I can say is, look, we're not trying to sell some snake oil. I mean, you got to put in the work to do this. But again, if people hear the term algorithm, they get scared. They're like, oh, well, I'm not a programmer. You know what I mean? I don't know, how to. You don't have to know how to code. First of all, we got guys to code for you. And they'll do it at a significant reduction in price to what you would normally have to pay to have that done. So if you build an algorithm and you want to hard code that so that it trades for you, we can help you get there. We certainly can. Yep. We have that in the DNA, right, in the fabric of Algo Factory. However, the thing about that and the way that works, and let me tell you from personal experience, okay, because I've worked with hard-coded algorithms, I've helped people build them, so what you need to know there is that you want to have something that's already pretty well refined before you hand it to a coder, because a coder is going to charge you. They're not free. And so what they're going to do is they're going to code what you tell them to code. And if it's not that well tested, then you're going to pay them to code something that may not actually work. And then you're going to have to pay them to code it again after you go and refine it. So unless you have like a lot of money to spare, then you're going to want to go back and test it manually yourself at first. You're going to take time and back test manually. And we show you how to do that. And it's not that hard to do. It does take some time, right? It might take you a week or two, depending on how much time you dedicate at a time. And really, depending on what your dedication is and your ability not to get distracted. That's really key. Like you need to focus on your work, right? So, an hour a day though, that'll get it done. If you work an hour a day, depending on how complex your algo is, you could have it back tested in a few weeks. But you got to be dedicated. Now, once it's refined, once it's back tested, and it might even be a good idea to forward test it. And that means that you trade it like live with a very small amount of money, or even paper trade it. I personally think that putting like $10 on an exchange and trading that is better than paper trading, because number one, your fills are going to be realistic. Like when you have a trade filled, it's actually going to be filled based on the real market conditions. But number two, it's real money. So even though it's like $10, psychologically it affects you as if it was like maybe 100 or 1,000. That effect is technically there, even though it's $10 or $100, right? So, and then once you forward tested it and you know that it's pretty accurate, then you can talk to a coder about it. And then when you code, there are going to have to be some differences, in the way that you decide to enter and exit your trade. And we can also help you with that, because it's, when you're actually coding, it's different. Like, how do you calculate a stop loss? How do you calculate a take profit? What are the inputs that allow you to determine this? Because when we do a stop loss and a take profit from a manual trading standpoint, we can use a lot of data that is not necessarily as easy to calculate by somebody who's coding. So there's a different way to do that. So, all of that is knowledge that I've personally gained over a long period of time, and I've gained it the hard way, right? And what we do here is we share that knowledge so that you don't have to take, like an average trader, you don't have to necessarily take 4 years to become profitable. You have a better chance of becoming profitable much, much more quickly, but it's not going to be overnight. That's for sure. It's not. I mean, it's, it might take months, it might take a year or two, it might take, it really depends on your level of dedication. And that's pretty much what it depends on: dedication and work ethic. So we're at the end of the free, the live lab that we do for the public. We're going to roll over to the private. Before we do that, we have Ray over in the private group asking, what's up with Finks BlackRock applying for Bitcoin ETF in the US? I would ask a question: is it a spot ETF or not? So is it an ETF where it's being kind of collateralized, if you will, by spot Bitcoin? And is it paying out in spot Bitcoin, which I really, really doubt, because that's been the holy grail.
No,
if they allow for,
it's not.
Go ahead.
And, no, I don't think it's not on spot BTC.
Okay. So for new people out there, spot means.
Yeah, I'll double check.
Dude, I would bet folding money right now it's not spot, especially because it's BlackRock. So look, an ETF, like an exchange trade fund, they might be able to legally say that it's backed up by Bitcoin, right? But in reality, it's probably going to end up being some weird, like, derivatized situation. You're not really trading it. Jeff Moss on YouTube says he thinks it is a spot ETF. Interesting. Look, if you get a spot ETF and it becomes very popular, what happens is the demand for Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, it is. It's they're applying for it. They haven't been granted the application. U.S. regulator has yet to approve any applications for spot Bitcoin ETFs. It's interesting also is Coinbase is doing their custody. Coinbase custody is doing the holding for BlackRock.
All right. Well, interesting. Yeah, like I said, I would bet folding money will never see a spot. If we do see a spot ETF, what that means is that that's a big day for crypto, and in particular Bitcoin, because Jeff says they'll get it. They control the government. I mean, I don't know, Jeff. That seems rather simplistic to say that BlackRock controls the government. I would say that BlackRock has strong influence over certain people in the government. That's how I would put that. But I don't think BlackRock is pulling the levers and controlling the government. That doesn't seem. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a. That seems kind of.
BlackRock is Davos, though. So it's amazing what's happening when you look at BlackRock and Vanguard over the last year. They're changing their tune on ESG very rapidly.
Yeah, they are. They're backing off. So, but yeah. So that said, I mean, yeah, they have considerable influence. Certainly, if there was an asset manager that could get a spot ETF, BlackRock might, would be in that group of asset managers, So, but that said, that's an interesting thing. And if a spot ETF is approved, then I think that would be a pretty big day for Bitcoin in particular. It's been the holy grail. I know. What is it? Was it Van X? What's that company that kept trying to get it? It was the first kind of ETFs that got applied for. It was like big news a few years ago.
I don't remember.
Van X, something like that. Van Eck, I forget. But they were not approved. So people have been shooting for it for a long time, but no one has been given the crown. So BlackRock is the kind of company that gets the crown. That yeah. I will give you, Jeff. So yeah, I would appreciate, or I do appreciate you guys coming on and no, Grayscale is not an ETF. Is it? Grayscale is a trust.
No, Grayscale is it's
This Jeff Moss again. He's on our YouTube comments. He's asking about.
Yeah, it's a
Bitcoin trust.
Bitcoin Trust is one of their products they offer. Grayscale Investment LLC is the actual company. They also apply for an application for a spot Bitcoin ETF. The SEC rejected it, and then Grayscale went on to sue the SEC for that.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's the that's the holy grail. I mean, if you get to be that person, then you're really in good shape, right? If you get to be the company that has the first spot Bitcoin ETF, then you are stoked. You make some cash.
Well, it's also interesting when you look at the strategic parameters behind this. Like, remember that rumor I told you about? On Thursday I did that drip about Gensler. Are we out of YouTube?
Yeah, let me hop off YouTube here. So I wanted to get through Jeff's questions there before we hopped off because I like Jeff. Jeff, thanks for coming on and talking to us. We really appreciate it. But yeah, give us the send off and we'll jump off YouTube.
Folks, join us. Be here or be nowhere. Let us show you how to literally create additional forms of income where it works for you. Algo Factory